A rocket has been fired into Baghdad's heavily fortified green zone tonight, where the U.S. embassy is based. Iraq's military said in a statement, a Katyusha rocket fell in the middle of the green zone without causing any losses. Details to come later. A police source said initial reports indicate that the rocket was fired from an open field in southern Baghdad. Police were ordering patrols to rush to the Mohammed Al-Qasim highway in eastern Baghdad in search of any suspicious vehicles spotted that may be carrying rocket launchers after they received a tip the rocket had been fired from inside a truck. They were searching for suspects and the rocket launcher in the eastern district of New Baghdad, a police source said. The U.S. embassy was not hit by the rocket, they added. TWO Baghdad-based diplomatic sources said they heard the blast close to the compound which houses government buildings and other foreign embassies. Alert sirens sounded briefly in Baghdad after the explosion, according to reports from the east side of the Tigris River. There were no immediate reports of casualties or damage. Katyusha multiple rocket launcher is an inexpensive type of rocket artillery that can deliver explosives to a target quicker than conventional artillery, but is less accurate. The Green Zone is one of the world's most high-security institutional quarters. Located in the center of the Iraqi capital, it houses parliament, the prime minister's office, the presidency, other key institutions, top officials' homes and embassies. Share this article. Share the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, the world's largest, lies within the fortified neighborhood, also known as the International Zone, and is surrounded by concrete walls. The apparent attack comes amid heightened tensions across the Persian Gulf after the White House ordered warships and bombers to the region earlier this month to counter an alleged, unexplained threat from Iran. The U.S. also ordered non-essential staff out of its diplomatic posts in Iraq on Wednesday. Iraq hosts more than 5,000 U.S. troops and is home to powerful Iranian-backed militias, some of whom want U.S. forces to leave. The U.S. Navy has revealed it conducted exercises in the Arabian Sea with an aircraft carrier strike group ordered to the Persian Gulf to counter an alleged, unspecified threat from Iran. The Navy said today the exercises and training were conducted with the USS Abraham Lincoln Aircraft Carrier Strike Group in coordination with the U.S. Marine Corps, highlighting U.S. lethality and agility to respond to threat, as well as to deter conflict and preserve U.S. strategic interests. Also taking part in exercises were the Kearsarge Amphibious Ready Group and the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit, both deployed to the U.S. Fifth Fleet area of operations in the Persian Gulf. The Navy said the exercises on Friday and Saturday included air-to-air training in steaming and formation and maneuvering. U.S. pressures Baghdad over Iran-backed militias. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's surprise visit to Baghdad this month came after U.S. intelligence showed Iran-backed Shiite militias positioning rockets near bases housing U.S. forces, according to two Iraqi security sources. He told Iraq's top brass to keep the militias, which are expanding their power in Iraq and now form part of its security apparatus, in check, the sources said. If not, the U.S. would respond with force. As tensions between Washington and Tehran increase, Iraq finds itself caught between neighboring Iran, whose regional influence has grown in recent years, and the U.S. The message from the Americans was clear. They wanted guarantees that Iraq would stop those groups threatening U.S. interests, a senior Iraqi military source with knowledge of Pompeo's trip said. They said if the U.S. were attacked on Iraqi soil, it would take action to defend itself without coordinating with Baghdad. The U.S. State Department declined to comment on the details of Pompeo's discussions. He had said after the trip, "We don't want anyone interfering in their country, Iraq, certainly not by attacking another nation inside of Iraq." The second Iraqi security source said communications intercepted by the Americans showed some militia groups redeployed to take up suspicious positions, which the Americans considered provocations. He said the Iraqis were told that any threat from the groups would be dealt with directly by the Americans with force. Iraqi Prime Minister Adil Abdul Mahdi on Tuesday told reporters that the Iraqi side had not observed movements that constitute a threat to any side. "We clarified that to the Americans the government is doing its duty to protect all parties." It also said last week it was sending additional military forces to the Middle East. Iraq would struggle to rein in the Iran-backed militias. The paramilitaries are formally part of Iraq's security forces but operate semi-independently, backed by powerful Iran-allied politicians, and are expanding their economic power. Spokesman for two Iran-backed paramilitary groups said there were no plans to target U.S. forces, saying talk of threats was psychological warfare by Washington. The U.S. says Iran is the biggest threat to peace in the region. It wants to weaken the paramilitaries which have expanded their sway over lands stretching to Syria and Lebanon, and for Iraq to decrease dependence on Iranian gas exports. Iran sees Iraq as an important link to the world in the face of U.S. sanctions, and analysts say the positioning of pro-Iran forces and rockets indicates Tehran is prepared at least to threaten the United States with violence. The Iraqi security source said U.S. officials discussed with Iraqi officials Iran-backed militia deployed along the Syrian border, where U.S. troops have helped fight Islamic State. Pompeo said last week, "We've urged the Iraqi government to get all of those forces under Iraqi central control." The groups say they already follow the orders of the Iraqi state and are not planning to target U.S. interests. American claims are baseless. "It reminds us of the big lie of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq," said Laith Al-Athari, a spokesman for the Iran-backed Asayba al-Haq group, referring to the pretext for the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq in 2003. The Popular Mobilization Forces (PMF), the umbrella grouping of mostly Shiite militias, numbers around 150,000 men. There are currently an estimated 5,200 U.S. troops in Iraq, having peaked at 170,000 in the years following the invasion. Analysts say the positioning of missiles by militias backed by Iran is likely meant as a symbolic threat to the United States, rather than a real plan to use them. Professor Toby Dodge of the London School of Economics said Iran has in the past moved such weapons to slowly ratchet up the heat under America in Iraq when it feels America is seeking to threaten Iraq.